I see your demons, I'm telling them it's on sight. I'm just playing, I don't fight, I do pray. I only go the way of Mr. Yahweh.
Welcome to the Profitable Cleaner podcast, brother. You might be wondering, like, what? Why did I get invited into a cleaning podcast? We really talk about anything, right? So for those that don't know you, because I don't want to go into the conversation we're about to have, because that's a crazy conversation, but tell us a little bit about who you are, man. Give us that 1 minute spiel, a little bit about yourself, and then we'll get kicked off.
My name is JJ Seabrassy. I own a company called Proven Canine Training. That's kind of the biggest success story of my life until I started becoming a father and stepping into a godly role as a father. That turned very quickly over into the biggest success of my life. We started this business. I sold my Harley to start my business. I took $8,000, made my first initial order of stuff, got the crappiest little building I could possibly find, shoved myself inside of there. And growing up in the business over the last 4 years, we've done about 8 million.
Oh, wow.
So,
and dog training?
And
that, okay. But it's all dog training? Is that the main service? Okay.
Yep. Absolutely. So that's kind of the rags to riches side of it.
Yeah.
I say all the time that I was an overnight success at being a failure. I learned a whole lot of lessons over 14 years of owning this business, and especially the last probably 7 years have been just massive growth for us. A lot of hard bumps and stuff in that, but yeah.
You know, and I know you from the $1 Billion Brotherhood, now called King's Brotherhood. Yep. That's actually where we met. And I remember the first time, I think you were dropping.
Yeah, dropping in Scottsdale, Arizona.
Yeah, and then I saw the change in you. Like, I saw Jesus, like, changing your life that instant, and I was like, okay. I got out, but then you stayed in, and you were doing amazing since. I do agree. I think God has taken your life, and that's what you literally are evangelizing through your social media, which I love. I was going to ask you, so people always say, like, oh, man, we're in a tough industry. It's cleaning. There's a lot of competition. Talk about doing 8 million in dog training. Talk about a very competitive market, one. And then two, it's very DIY, right? You could technically do it yourself with enough YouTube videos. And I say quotations because I was that guy, and my dog didn't know how to do anything. Outside of sit and paw, but there's a different level of training. Tell us a little bit about how you got here. I mean, we're not going to get into what you're going to do, but he literally said, I just parked my truck and
moved a dog from the back to the inside of the vehicle.
Not just a dog, a bomb dog.
She's a bomb detection dog, explosives detection. So I'm going to take her straight from here. I'm going to go change everything that I've got on and get into something I can possibly get a little dirty in, and then we're going to go... We're going to go help serve a community that absolutely needs it. They've had a few threats over the last week, and we're going to help make sure that those things don't come to fruition.
So there's levels of training.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Is there like such thing as, like, can you walk us through a few of the levels? There's like level 1, and then there's like expert. I don't know if how that works.
So the problem with it, and it's a lot like the cleaning businesses or whatever you're into, right? It is not a regulated business. I don't have to go to any certain school. I don't have to hold any certain certificate to go be a dog trainer. Okay? You guys could go be one today. Go start your business, follow your LLC, get on it, and go start a business. You're going to struggle a whole lot because you don't have that guidance, and you don't have the background, and you don't have,
of course,
knowledge to bring to the table, but you could do it. For us, we offer things that most dog trainers don't. Everybody wants to sell. We have a level 1 package. We got a level 2 and a level 3 and a level 4 package. And each one, literally the difference is the number that's attached to it. Okay. You're going to turn out probably close to the same dog. You're going to turn out the same idea of a dog, right? What we sell people and what we produce needs to be somewhere close to the same or over delivered. And in our industry, much like your all's industry as well, I know from firsthand experience, many people overpromise and underdeliver on a regular basis. We push, strive, and we have been super, super successful because we know that we are doing everything that everybody else isn't. I just hired a new trainer at my Amarillo location, and she came in 14 years experience in dog training, and she looked at me and she said, nobody does this. Like, there's a lot of little things you guys are doing that is just mundane and nobody does it. Why are you guys wasting time on this? And all I had to do is go to Google, pull up our reviews and say, read. It's not a whole bunch of 5-star reviews with nothing attached to them. People are telling their story, telling their journey with us, telling their rags to riches, basically, and how their dog was in the rags and how their dog was in the mud and just wouldn't listen and wouldn't do things, to where they're at now, and how it's changed their life with their children, how it's changed their life with their spouse, how that has opened up a door to better communication in the home, because we're not arguing over a 4-legged dog, right? We're now able to communicate about something in a different way. And I've even had plenty of people that said it actually is kind of what got us back into church. Because you come to our facility, we've got Christian music playing. My wife and I literally stood in the middle of our training room yesterday. She came up, said, hey, we forgot. And she grabbed my hands and made sure that we prayed over our company, our employees, our clients, our past and potential clients, the whole 9 yards. And that feel is all over.
You're good.
Rookie 101. That feel is all over our company. And that's what I yearn for. Every single person I talk to, the last thing they hear from me is have a blessed day. And I mean that, So I think for us, we are bringing something completely different to the table. So I'm not chasing different levels of dog training. If you leave your dog with me for 2 weeks and you leave your dog with me for 4 weeks, you're going to have a dog that knows the same thing, but I will be able to change behavior. I will be able to change the way your dog addresses life on its own over the longer period of time. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Let's actually dive into that a little bit. So right before we got kicked off here, I said, man, I can't wait to talk to you about behavioral patterns and training and all that. And you said your dog is going to learn how to live a life on its own. And you said a lot before we hit record translates into human behavior. So if I leave my dog with you for 4 weeks and then you're training that dog, I've always thought of like dog training, like going to like PetSmart. Like I'm just like the idiot guy. Talk to me about those behavioral patterns and kind of like the foundation and maybe how that does translate into a human framework.
So I use the same analogy, because we say the same thing a million times over to a million different people, so they're hearing it for the first time. When a child is first getting ready to go to school, we start them on a new pattern. We start waking them up, or we get them to bed a little bit earlier. We start waking them up a little bit earlier. You woke up, come out, get your breakfast. You got your breakfast, go brush your teeth. Brush your teeth, you got your clothes on, get your shoes, grab your backpack, jump in the car, let's go. Then what happens? We drive the kid to school. They're super nervous. They don't understand. They're like, why do I even got to go to this place? I've heard about it. It sounds amazing, but it also sounds scary as ever. Mm-hmm. And then they get there and the teachers say, hey, come on in, put your backpack over there, get your books out, get your crayons out, go sit at your desk, look forward, and here we go, right? There's structure. There is a way that things happen. And then you come to pick your kid up and you're thinking they're going to be bawling their eyes out and run up and just grab you like you left them and you're never coming back or whatever. And then they're like, hold on, Mom, hold on, Dad. I just want to finish coloring this, or I want to do this with Bobby or whatever. And you're like, what happened? I thought you were going to hate this place. And they're like, no, I actually love it, right? Little Johnny's a butthead in class because he has no structure at home. Okay? So that's the quickest way that I can tell you that when we give a dog structure in the way that they do things, this is how you wake up in the morning. This is how you come out of the crate. This is how you go to the backyard. This is how you get fed. This is how you come back inside. This is how we do things when we're going out in public. This is how we do things when we go to a restaurant. And the dog says, I know what that looks like. I've done this time and time again. And all the dog really knows is there's tables, there's chairs, there's people, and I smell food. I'm going to lay down and be next to the side of the seat the entire time I'm here. right? A lot of what we do is classical conditioning. You remember Pavlov and the bell?
Yeah.
Right? He went out and fed all the dogs, or rang the bell, fed all the dogs, rang the bell, fed all the dogs, rang the bell, fed all the dogs. And then one day he just went out and rang the bell and all the dogs started salivating. That was the first time that we've really, truly identified that dogs will pair things together, a noise with an action, a noise with an action. You grab your car keys in the morning and you put your shoes on and go grab your car keys, right?
Yeah.
Being all goofy about things. And you're like, what kicked that off? Is literally the jingle of your keys. The same action every day. That's the structure you're showing your dog. What is the structure you're giving your dog? And it's the same thing for people in life. You can show people, oh, I wake up 7, 8, 9, maybe 10 o'clock in the morning. You know, I kind of get dressed. I'll go to Starbucks and spend way too much money on a coffee. And then I'm going to go call some friends and I'm going to hang out or whatever it is, right? That's what you're showing people. That's the structure of your life. But if you are getting up first thing in the morning, let your dogs out, you go through all that, then you go for a run or you go to the gym or you get on the computer and you start working and you start producing content and you start doing, right? Now you're showing the structure, and that is what those around you are going to absorb.
Yeah, that's actually really interesting. I was just speaking to a new employee, but she works for her dad for a huge company, and she just said, I said, man, how do you manage your busy schedule? And she said, well, I just watched my dad grow this company growing up, and he was always active. So I'm always active. So I guess it's kind of that show of influence right there.
Yeah.
Sure.
How long before you see like a pattern and a behavior that you're training actually kick in and start to replicate on its own?
As soon as it's rewarding.
Okay.
Right? Dogs, humans, we're all very self-rewarding animals, very selfish in our ways for the most part, right? Dogs are 100% that. So if they feel it's rewarding, then they're going to do it. Why does your dog jump on the couch? Why does your dog jump on you? Everybody, I can't stand, my dog jumps on me, right? From the time that they were a little kid, little pup, you allowed them on your foot. Then you allowed them on your shin every time you touched them. And then they're on your knee. Then you're like, hold on, you're way too big. Get down. Yeah. I don't want that anymore. And the dog says, hold on. My entire life, you have physically rewarded me for climbing on you, and now you don't want me to? Super confusing, right? So if we can start off without all that, and we just say, you never climb on me, you don't get on my shoe, you don't get on my leg, you don't do anything, then it's never an issue.
What's up, Profitable Cleaner listeners? Quick question for you. Are you using 5 to 7 different platforms just to manage the everyday operations of your commercial cleaning company? If so, let us help you consolidate that into one platform. Introducing you uSource. Go to usource.com, book your free demo today, and actually get started on your trial for 60 days. No charge for 60 days, all from time and attendance to reporting, vendor management, operations, sales. It's time you stop using 5 to 7 platforms and consolidate into one. So listeners, don't forget, go to usource.com and start your account today.
Damn, you make it sound so simple, and I do agree. Like, you set the boundary, but like, talk to me about like breaking the habit. Then,
taking away options. Okay, in my world as a service-based industry, I have to take away the option for the client to feel like they can continue the same rigmarole that they've always been in. For me to do that, I have to show them what the other side of the life looks like. Right? Why did I step into God? Because I saw a group of men that just had a whole different thing going on with them. It wasn't a group of men in business, even though at the time the mastermind had a whole different idea, right? Yeah. But then it was shifting that day, actually, and I didn't realize that, but I was shifting that day as well. But I saw a whole room full of successful men trying to be successful, trying to grow, trying to do even more, but they had a different way about them, and I wanted that way. I didn't know how to get there. I didn't know what it looked like. So somebody started taking options away from me, right? Somebody started saying, there's a different path. There's things for you to go do. I believe that person or that being was the Holy Spirit saying, you're not doing that anymore. You're not doing that anymore, which only left me one way to go, right? If I close every door in a hallway, you can't go right or left.
Yeah.
Right? You can only go straight down that hallway to the end door. And once we start doing that with our dogs, we do that with people, whatever, we start seeing a huge change in the way that they address things. And then all of a sudden it becomes rewarding too. If I gave you $100 bill just for keeping your room clean every single day, you're going to keep your room clean every day, right? I don't care if you make $1 million. If it's $100 just for making your bed every day, you know, pick your favorite millionaire, billionaire. I bet you they would still make their bed every day for $100 bill.
So to enforce an action, you give a reward. To break a habit, you remove options.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you give consequences though? Do you believe in that? So, because I agree. I think when you don't have options, you're bound to do it, right? And I agree, and I love that analogy. I always say that options are an illusion. I don't think they're real. I think they're just, it's cool to have all these options, but they don't really take you anywhere, you know? So I like the idea of no options. But do you then leverage consequence to enforce a behavior, or would you rather encourage the reward and the lack of options?
I want to do everything at the happiest, lightest level possible. But does that mean that certain actions won't ever end up with a consequence, or like a negative, what the dog or the human or whatever would have as a negative consequence, right? I had a dog one time that was on the end of a leash, started darting off to run off in front of a train. I mean, call it a movie, right? They're going to meet at just all the wrong time perfectly. And that dog was taking off in that direction. I had lost control of the leash, but the dog was also on a remote collar. Remote collars used properly are phenomenal tools. Used improperly, they're horrible, right? Low-level stimulation just to communicate, come back here. The train blowing the horn, this massive amount of steel rolling down the tracks, and that dog went into auditory exclusion and would not hear me. So then I started using the remote, stimulation. It's getting higher and higher and higher. She's getting closer to this train. Finally, I just rolled that thing all the way up, and I hit it on 100. Corrected the crud out of that dog. She went nose to tail, but you know what didn't happen? She didn't run in front of a train. So was that correction worth it? In my book, 100%. Now, if you tell your dog sit and your dog doesn't sit and you just go yanking on the leash, you're a douche. You know what I mean? Like treat an animal properly, right? Just like we do with our children. If we give our children a correction that is overabundant to the level of the offense, then they don't learn anything from it. You're stopping an action, but you're not teaching a behavior.
That's why I wanted to have this podcast, because there's a lot of correlation between training a dog, teaching a child,
working with your team,
with your wife. I love that right there. The overabundant on a small behavior, like that's gold right there. Let me ask you a question. So let's talk about the people that are a little douchey, right? I don't know if someone can confidently say like, yeah, I'm a douche and I don't respect my dog. I just don't think they know better a lot of the times. Like when they just like sit and they don't sit, and you know, like I fall into that where I'm just like, I get annoyed. So what do you think these people lack?
Guidance, understanding, you know, things like that, of course. But at some point, I believe there's a moral compass.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If we're not holding on to that proper moral compass on how we're just going to treat God's creations, like, what are you doing? Right? It's even as people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we've had conversations where you're like, bro, kind of need some help. I'm in this movement area, whatever. And I was like, dude, just let me know. Like, if I can, I will. That's how we're supposed to help each other. It's not, bro, I talk to you
once a year.
Once a year, or a couple times if it's a good Facebook post or whatever, right? Like, no, call me. I got you. I want to be that. I want to be that for everybody. I think when we have that proper moral compass, we're even going to translate that to a guinea pig, much less a dog. But there's this world that says, hey, you're not living up to expectations, we'll cut you off. That's what they do in Hollywood. That's what they do in New York City. That's what they do in Dallas. You know what I mean? If you're not cutting the mustard on the 20th floor of a building, you're done. See ya. You got to go. Right? And people do that with with their dogs all the time. And we're in Texas, you know, and people 100% be like, that dog don't hunt. 25-cent pill goes through their head at 1,300 miles or feet per second. It's horrible.
Yeah.
Like, bro,
That's that's common.
Super
That's crazy.
It's either we're going to dump them or we're going to shoot them. If you had any idea the conversations that we have with people, and you look at it in the cleaning business or whatever it may be, right?
Life, yeah.
Like just the life that those people are living. They're like, I'm paying people to come over here and take care of this for me, right? They are providing a service, but every time they leave, my dog screws it up. It's not worth it to me. That dog's not worth it to me. Bro, that is a living being that you took hold of and said, I will keep you for your life, right? And that life's only 15 years, but that life is a whole 15 years.
Yeah.
Right? And people give gifts all the time of, I got you a puppy. They should say, I got you 15 years of responsibility that you've got to feed and clean up after and do health and all those things, And
but people do that with other people too.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And I'm not saying you have to keep everybody in your life forever. That's not, like you said, we talk maybe once a year and we here and there exchange on a Facebook post. But you're right. We see creation, we see life, we see the other human as part of one body. So it's a little different. But I think where the culture or the people have been programmed, I guess, the society has been programmed to only if it brings you value, then you keep it.
Yeah, return the favor.
So, how do you teach because you also got to teach the human, obviously, to see the dog with different eyes, right? Like when I couldn't train my dog because I didn't have time, I was like, you know what? I'm okay with her behavior. She's good with me. We're going to stick it out together. Does that make sense? Like I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm going to have a trained dog when I'm not putting in the time. Like I understood that exchange from both of us. So we hung out. We had a good time together. But a lot of people wouldn't see it that way. A lot of people would be like, they even compare their dogs to other dogs, which is crazy.
Frustrated.
Yeah. How do you have such a trained dog? So how do we as humans, or how have you improved or help others improve the way they see life, their dog, others? Because it sounds like this is more than just dog training. This is definitely above it.
Yeah, maybe changing their behavior.
Yeah, you're changing the way they see life and how they see others.
The dogs are the easy part. Right? Because their cognitive ability is super limited. As humans, our cognitive ability is not as super limited. We just limit ourselves. Right? When I started this business in the first year, I did $126,000. And I was like, yes, this is it. I am happy. And bro, there was probably less than 12% profit in that whole deal, you know what I mean? But I was able to just take money and I could go do things and get things and do whatever. Way more than the 40 grand I'd made the year prior. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I had this mindset that I was super happy right there. And then all of a sudden it continued to grow organically on its own. We've never taken a loan. We've never done anything but use company money to build the company.
Nice.
As we go through that process, we watch people that they bring their dogs in and they're like, if he just sit when I walk in the door, I'd be happy. I'm like, but your dog's potential is so much higher. And I used to argue it with people. Hey, there's so much more. Let me tell you, right? Like Christians do when they're talking about Jesus and they're like, there's so much more. Let me tell you, and people are like, I don't want to hear that. I just want the love part of it. Can you just give me the love part of it? And they're like, if my dog would not jump on me, I would love them more. Yeah. So then I take their dog and I get a dog that no longer jumps on them, sits, waits for love, waits for attention, waits for affection, and patiently does it because they've been shown that the wait is worth it.
That's
You-
crazy, bro.
You know what I mean? And people all the time in life, they don't understand that the wait is worth it. This business has been in for 14 years now. And I started with $8,000 and now we're doing $1 million to $2 million a year. When my first year was 112 and I thought that I was happy. I was ecstatic over that. You know what I mean? And now I look and I'm like, wow, life, time, consistency has shown me the possibilities, the potential. So if we can take people and show them the possibilities and the potential in themselves or with their dog or with their business or with their walk, whatever it may be, that's how you get them to say, wow, I want what those other people have. I saw that in the room, right? I was in the building and there was all the other people, or there was all the other dogs that were just sitting there laying down nicely. Before that, their dogs were douches. Their dogs sucked. You know, that's why through COVID, we blew up so big, was because everybody was stuck at home with their dog and they found out how much their dog sucked. And they're like, are y'all still open? Yeah, we got live animals. We're a mandatory business, or whatever the term was that they were using. So yeah, we stayed open. And all of a sudden it just started rolling and rolling and rolling, you know, and that's where the growth came from.
Yeah, that's crazy that like you can teach a dog that the wait is worth it. But I agree that, and that's with, you said, very limited cognitive level. Is that what you said? Cognitive. Yeah. So it's like, but we don't see that with humans. A lot of us, my friend always, Georgia Pesiccia, he always says like, just stand a game long enough, soft offense, wait, right, be patient, and the wait is worth it. And I think like even like if I was a parent, I could imagine that some people lose it if their kid does one bad thing or one big mistake, and they like think the whole world. I've seen my uncles and stuff, and I'm like, why do you think the whole life just ended? I'm like, they're 12 or they're 20. They've got a long way to go, but we don't really comprehend time. Why do we get so annoyed with time? Why do us humans? Because I think a dog would wait even more than we would sometimes. My dog can wait to not go pee, and she'll be like, I'm good.
Because cell phones, because TV, because internet, because drive-thrus at McDonald's. You know what I mean? Like
drive-thru, it's the drive-thru at McDonald's. It has to.
I brought that up because it's in the front of my mind. I seen a story the other day. Drive-thrus in McDonald's were literally put in because soldiers in Arizona at the time, that you couldn't get out of the vehicle if you were still in uniform. You had to go from your vehicle straight to your house, go change. Well, they couldn't do that on their lunch break. So McDonald's said, hey, rather than lose your business, let's knock a hole in the wall, put a window in there, and you guys don't have to get out of the car. And that is where drive-thrus in America came from.
It actually like started off to like serve a decent purpose, and now it's just went to the utmost extreme, which is an unhealthy purpose. But
100%.
That's so crazy. I have a question for you, man. How much does behavior and pattern play into environment? And the reason I ask this is because we have a good friend. You might even know him, Ugala Dotto.
Oh, love you.
Love you.
Bro, that dude is so raw.
He talks about leadership contagion, right? And energy contagion. Mm-hmm. And I think about when you're trying to influence, whether it's a dog, your family, your team, how much of that environment, like you can train a dog at your facility for 4 weeks, and then if they go back into a house and it's
chaos,
just freaking chaos, how much of that training is actually effective?
So that's the difference in what we do compared to a lot of companies. A lot of companies are exactly like you said. We train in our facility, we train in our home, but they don't get dogs out into public. They don't chase the scary place to take a dog. Right? I train right down here, downtown Dallas. I train downtown Fort Worth. We go to Arlington when there's a Dallas Cowboy game going. We go to Texas Motor Speedways when there's 30,000 people going through the gates and loud cars running in a circle over and over and over and over. Sorry, that's NASCAR for you. But like the energy that comes in that moment, so many people are afraid to step into that. And they do that in their own life, right? It's so nervous. I don't want to have to go lease a place. I don't want to have to get all the equipment set up. I don't want to do something on the 20th floor of a building and have to travel from Houston to here and all the things.
Hey, what's up, guys? Today's episode is brought to you by Cinch. If you're ready to take your commercial cleaning business to the next level, we have you covered. Maybe you're struggling with how to bid, how to create professional-looking proposals, or just how to ensure your customers' accounts are actually being cleaned at night. Introducing Cinch Janitorial Software. Cinch is a simple, user-friendly software that eliminates these types of struggles that you probably know all too well. Cinch simplifies your entire process and will supercharge your success because they remove paperwork headaches while creating a scalable, efficient, and profitable cleaning business. Get your free demo of Cinch at cleancinch.com. They're here to turn your business into a success story. That's cleancinch, CINCH.com. It's simple, it's Cinch.
Yeah, put them in that space where they're uncomfortable, but teach them how. I always say the micros build the macro. A whole bunch of little things come together to have the one big end goal, right? So if we can focus our energy on these micros, and okay, there's a big thing thrown in the middle of all that. I wasn't ready for it, but I handled it. Okay, next time that big thing shows up, you're like, oh, I did this last time. We're good, right? So the first time in your business that like you don't make payroll or whatever, or that fear's coming up, you know, or you're not going to pay the bills, whatever those things are, and your stomach just, you want to puke, right? Yeah. And I want to be super clear for all of your listeners and watchers. Every one of us just shook our head in full agreement. Instantly, we know that feel, for sure. Right? So people out there, if you're going to get into business or you're really looking at that, just know that there are so many moments that your stomach is going to be in your throat. Yep. You know what I mean? But when we hit those moments and then we figure out which way we're supposed to turn, right? Do I turn to myself and say, okay, I just got to go close more deals? Well, you don't have any deals in the pipeline, so how are you going to go close those? Yeah. Okay, then I just got to go get more people in the pipeline. I pay Google more, or whatever the things are that people do. Or do you say, like, hey, Yagal, what do you do in this situation? Yeah. Hey, Angel, what do you do in this situation? Like, I don't know, right? And the first time that I did that and I had some people over me that were like, bro, this isn't the first time, nor will it be the last time that somebody in a business has gone through this. It may be your first time, but I promise you it also won't be your last time. Yep. You will not one and done that lesson. It never happens that way. You know what I mean? You're going to freak out because you're taking big steps. If you play it safe the whole time, you're still doing 112,000 or you're still making 40 grand a year 100%. Working for somebody else. 100%. So with dogs and people, whatever it is, you've got to push them. You've got to get them into the environment, but we take all the steps prior, right? Before we get into that environment, now we're prepared. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to be speaking at a church here soon, and the whole topic, I'm speaking literally before praise and worship starts. And it's how do you step into that realm when you're not making payroll, right? When your kid's sick, whatever it may be, all the things that life has to do. And when you're going through it and it's actually kind of going good, right? And then things are great. And then everything crashes again. Yep. You prepared the way. The way was prepared for us, but you prepared yourself going into that. You praise when you're in the low, you praise in the middle, you praise at the high, you just always praise, and your way is set. Yeah. It doesn't have to hit so hard.
It sounds so simple. And it's just like,
well, I would say Jesus is simple.
100%. Come on.
Jesus is simple. I have to, because it is that simple, but we like to complicate it because of our natural born ability that was given to us to resonate, to use reason, logic, feeling, emotion. It's like a whole
so true.
So much things. And to my spiritual leaders, we were just talking about that, where he's like, yeah, Jesus is simple. And I'm like, oh. They're like, yeah, just make a decision. And I'm like, it's really that simple? Yeah. And we've been there where we weren't gonna make payroll, or the company might fall over. And what did we do in the morning? Just like, well, stick it through. Like we'll see at the end.
Yeah.
So
We actually said double down, and we actually pick a niche, and we let go of all of our clients back in the day. We're like, we're not going to do this again. And it worked out. It all worked out.
yeah.
So.
No, and that's a big thing for me is to just look at it and say, stick it through. But also, if I didn't make payroll and all my employees went away and everything happened, I started this. Just because I've gotten used to waking up a little bit later, possibly, or getting off earlier and having a better schedule for myself, whatever, doesn't mean I couldn't go back to that. And I also now know how to bring in $100,000 a month doing it.
Yeah.
If I got rid of all my employees, my overhead goes down 75% instantly.
Yeah.
No payroll. It's all mine. I just got to crush the work. Bro, I can do that. I've been there.
Yeah.
Totally.
You know, so we can't get so scared like, oh my gosh, I can't pay my car payment, or, oh my gosh, my kid's sick, whatever. Like, bro, they've been sick before, right?
Yeah.
Maybe not at that level. It's scary, right? I've been there. I go through that on a regular basis, but I also have watched my kid time and time and time again through chemo, through radiation, through all the things that he goes through. I've watched him be so strong and literally become my hero. You know,
Could you share a little bit about
Yeah.
that? Obviously, I know a little bit.
Sure.
But
so I have a 13-year-old son that has been fighting cancer for the last 6 years of his life. He's relapsed twice, had full brain radiation. He's gone through everything that there is to go through. We had a huge moment where the doctors said, hey, this is the second time the cancer's come back. If it happens a third, it's pretty detrimental. You should take this one route. And my wife and I had a gut feeling that said, don't. And we prayed on it together quietly. And then we said, hey, this is what God told me. And she wrote it down.
So you guys did it separately and then
Came together, flipped papers over, and both of them said, no, don't do it. And the doctors got super mad at us and said, you're dumb. That's not what you should be doing. This is medicine, whatever. There's no other options. 2 days after we denied them, God did not deny us. He came up with a whole nother way. My son is part of a clinical trial out of Philadelphia. And this next month on the 10th of July, we go back out to Philadelphia for his 1-year checkup. And in this 1 year, he has been 100% cancer-free for the first time in 6 years. So God is good all the time, guys.
All the time. Oh my goodness. So the doctors gave you guys an option, which I'm assuming would have been detrimental or very aggressive, maybe something.
It's super aggressive.
Or almost like not giving up, but just something different.
Yeah, it was super. And I mean,
Did you know about the trial though before you made the
Yeah,
decision?
that's what I
Okay,
was
no.
not at all. They told us this is your one and only option. And we said, so if we do that, he is going to be literally taken out of life again for another year and a half. Like he'll be a bubble boy all over again for another year and a half. He's already did that for 4.5 years. We're like, no, I want my son to have a life. I want him to see this life and this change. And my wife was on the same page. God put us on that same page. And we listened to God, looked in the face of medical professionals, the number one medical professionals in the Dallas-Fort Worth area for hematology, oncology, and told them we're not doing what you said we should be doing because God said. 2 days later, they called us and said, hey, there's a clinical trial you qualify for. We just found out about it. Yeah. And we're like, oh, how amazing. What is it? And they told us, and it's called CAR T cell treatment. If you're out there and your child is going through leukemia or blood cancer of any sort, instantly talk to your doctors about CAR T cell treatment. It is a game changer, but it is still in a clinical trial setup, but it's already helped thousands of kids completely get away from chemo. So,
Man.
Brother, oh man.
I have a question here. In that moment where you separated with your wife to go make this decision, we always talk about discernment and trying to really trust God's plan in that moment, that's a huge decision.
Yeah.
Like, talk to me about your process of trusting God's plan. And it sounds like you trusted it with utmost confidence.
Were you in the Brotherhood already?
I was.
Okay.
At
So
that
you
point,
had
I
already
was.
began your journey intensely.
So I'm going to tell you how this man over here saved my life.
What?
Right? He was a part of it.
Yeah.
Okay. So the weekend that we met, well, I had zero business being at that mastermind. 2 days prior to that, my son all of a sudden just fell out at the table.
I remember.
And he wasn't talking. He wasn't walking. He couldn't remember his birthday. He couldn't remember his name, nothing. And it just progressively got worse. We get to the hospital with him. We fly from basically mid DFW all the way over to Fort Worth. And we fly, we get there, and the doctor's like, I don't know what's happening. This don't make any sense to me. There's no answer for this whatsoever. And instantly, of course, the fears happen. I'm like, my son's dying today. This is the moment. And I remember because my wife had piercings in, she couldn't go into the MRI room. So I went in with my son, and all I could do was literally watch for the rise and fall of my son's chest to know he was still alive.
Gosh.
And I had just been linked up with, it's called the $1 Billion Brotherhood that Nicholas Barely has or had. But it was a group of entrepreneurs, mostly Christian men, right? That were kind of the forefront of that group. So there was this God slapping me in the face. And mind you, at this time, I had no relationship, no real care if God existed or didn't. I was just going through life. I was a shell of a human being. But they were taking him into the MRI, and I got on my phone real quick and I posted it into our Voxer chat. And I was like, hey guys, all you praying people out there, why don't you go ahead and start that prayer and let me know, that you prayed or whatever. And people in the Vox, hey, JJ, and I was new to the group. I wasn't even in the group at the time. I was just kind of getting the feel for it or whatever. And all the people started coming back, praying and praying and praying. I got on social media, whatever following I have on there. Hey guys, I need prayer, right? Whatever that looks like to you, I need prayer. We went in the MRI, came out. He was not moving, not talking, not doing anything, but still had a heartbeat and whatever. They moved him to a room. It was getting super late at night. I did not want to leave, but my wife was there with our son, and my daughter at the time was 12, I think, 13. But she was at home by herself, and she's the one that found Jalix falling out. So she's freaking out on the inside. I was like, I'll go home and I'll be with her. I got home. I couldn't sleep. 2:00 in the morning, my phone rings, and I look at it, and it's my wife. I'm like, I'm not answering that. I know what that call is. There's zero chance that I'm going to answer that call. Then I just kind of felt like it's your wife. And if it did happen, you can't leave her hanging. So I picked the phone up. I'm like, hello. And I hear, hi, Daddy. What are you doing? I was like, what is going on? He woke up. The doctor said, if and when he wakes up, he needs to get walking and stuff as quick as possible. And so my wife got him up, started walking down the hallway. The nurse starts screaming for the doctor. The doctor comes running out of his office, says, what are you doing? You said when he woke up, he needed to get up and start walking. So that's what we did. He should not, if he came out of this, he should not have been walking for at least 6 weeks. He should not have been talking for a minimum of 2 weeks if he came out of this. And he was up walking and talking in less than 4 hours through the power of prayer and the power of people coming together. That is what softened me enough that when I went to a $1 Billion Brotherhood event that was literally shifting over, and I didn't know it. Like they played it up like, hey guys, just need Nicholas. Hey guys, just need to let you know we're shutting down $1 Billion Brotherhood. I'm like, bro, I just paid, $5,000, whatever, to be here. What are you talking about? You're shutting this down. And that's when he flipped it over and he introduced, we're doing the King's Brotherhood, which switches over to a 4-dimensional businessman through health, wealth, relationship, and covenant community. All of these things come together, right? And I was just so broken in that moment. But him and the rest of the guys that were in there, bro, they were praying over me. I didn't know how to handle that. It was super, super dark time for me. But it was guys like that led the way, that lit the path for me to show me that, hey, there's another way to approach life. Changed everything.
Wow.
Man,
That's all I'll say. That's
a testimony.
I remember being there, and I remember you were like very closed off. You were still very like, I don't know. And then at the end of it, it goes the third day or second day where you're just like, you know what? I'm going to lay it all out. And I still remember like all of us crying. When you were telling us that story like 2 days ago is what happened with my son. You guys prayed. And all of us were just like, just see a full room of men just bawling and just in awe. But also not surprised, which is what's beautiful about the believers of God and Jesus. It's like, yeah, healing is, 100%. Like, and which is crazy because when I went to build our Brotherhood, I would see business owners like losing business and all these life, and they were so relaxed. I was like, why is so happy? Why am I so stressed and I don't even have a business yet? And they were like, yeah, man, God, Jesus, it's not my weight. He's there with us, right? Like at the end of ourselves, we find him. So dude, that story is so good. And I'm so glad that you went, and I've been seeing your change in social media. Obviously, you don't have to talk every day to know what Jesus is doing in somebody's life. Now your whole family's at church, right? And like engaged in church. Yeah.
Yeah. We're every single one of us serve in some capacity. I'm on the usher team and the security team.
I wouldn't want to do anything if you were security.
Yeah.
Because he's like 6'8",
badass. Yeah.
6'8" with the beard.
That knows how to like
with a canine dog
with a bomb dog.
Yeah.
Oh, we got apprehension dogs too.
Wow.
Hey,
Let me ask you.
How fast are you? No.
Not fast.
Not fast enough.
Long run maybe, but it's a dog. Dogs are fast, man. Even my chubby dog, she is faster than me. So
right.
They're like, they don't look like it, and when they take off, when they're in hunt mode or something, it's like, see a squirrel, boom. Let me ask you a question. What would you say to someone that is a follower of Christ or a believer of Christ, like yourself? You started believing, but I know for a fact it took you a while to go to church. Took you a while. I remember, if I remember correctly, you actually tried out a few churches. Like, I don't know if
we tried out a whole bunch. I went through church. I learned what church hurt was. That was a whole nother thing for me. I was like, bro, I'm the guy. I'm like, stop whining, right? Just get over things. Keep moving. Go, go, go. Push, 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 or whatever. And then you start learning what those, like what church hurt is and where you've actually been holding on to things from past trauma and all this kind of stuff. Like, that's tough.
How many churches did you visit before you found yours? Or before the one that God wanted you to serve in?
Well, that's a whole nother testimony in itself. Probably 7.
Okay.
Probably 7 different churches in the DFW area, trying to figure out exactly where I needed to be, where I wanted to be. Found a phenomenal church in Watermark right here in Dallas.
What's the name?
Watermark.
Oh, literally it's called Watermark? Oh, okay,
yeah.
gotcha. I thought you said in Watermark, Dallas. I didn't know if that was...
Oh, no.
No, you're right. Watermark in Dallas.
Yeah, Watermark Church, phenomenal. If you're a big church, mega church kind of person, that's for you. It's too many people for me. I wasn't comfortable in there like that. But man, do they teach the book.
Okay, good.
They teach. It is so legit. Then ended up in another church that was very entrepreneur mindset, led by a guy, and the whole thing just turned out they were very much focused on money, way too much, and there was a lot of things that happened there. And I've never called that church out, so I don't want to do it.
Yeah, of course. No.
Sure.
But it hurt. I literally wanted to make that church my home for my family, and got shunned and then got humiliated in front of hundreds of men.
That sucks, man. Sorry you had to go through that.
Well, 2 days later, I'm driving home from work and there's this huge flag flopping in the air. And I'm like, what is that? That's like a Sherman-Williams building up there or something. And my nephew's with me. He's like, it says Jesus on the flag. I mean, massive, one of the big roadside flags. So I was like, we're taking that exit. When we drove up there, saw that it was a church. There was it took over an old shopping center. The name of the church is Uncommon. So we got home, drove straight home from there and said, hey, we found a church right up here. I'm going to look them up. And while we ate dinner, we never have phones at the table, but while we ate dinner, we watched a message from one of the pastors, and she was talking about Revelations and all this stuff. And I was like, man, she's legit. I want to hear this more. And she was the co-pastor to her husband. And I was like, this is it. I like that. So we went, checked them out. The first time that we were there was literally the family meeting.
Oh, nice.
Hey guys, this is what we do as a church family. This is our goals for the next year. This is all the things that we would want to know about
all
the
the
church.
questions
God
you
said,
answered. Yeah.
here it is. That church was 2 minutes away from the house that we were living in at the time. At that moment, we were closing on a lake house in Little Elm, like 5-bedroom, 5-bath on the water, gorgeous place. My wife ended up in Philadelphia during that time. She calls me and she said, or she texts me and she said, hey, God just told me that's not the church for us. Talking about the one that we were previously going to. And and that's not the house for us either, because we were getting the house to be close to that other church. And I was like, wow. And I hadn't told my wife what actually happened at the other church with the hurt and everything. I didn't tell her about that for a while. She didn't know at that time. She just came back to me and said, hey, that house isn't for us. I'm like, you don't understand how far into this we actually are. Like it's just paperwork and we're done. What are you talking about? And she said, I said, okay, I got on, sent the realtor a message. I said, I'm so sorry. I hope you understand what I'm about to say, but God told us that's not the house for us. You watch the little bubbles come up, little bubbles go away. Little bubbles come up, little bubbles go away. Didn't know what to say, whatever. And finally they came back and said, well, when God speaks, you have to listen.
I love it.
I was like,
I love it.
Bet that.
That's a badass realtor.
The next day, I'm sitting with a client and we're talking about their dog, whatever, and my phone's blowing up because the realtor's like trying to help me find another place. We have a week before we're out of this house and supposed to be somewhere else. The movers were set to come pick all of our stuff up, the whole 9 yards. And the client, I was like, I'm so sorry, realtor trying to help me find a house. We've on a super short note. They said, we have a house. I'm like, what? Come on. I said, how many rooms is it? 5. How many bathrooms? 4. Does it have a pool? But like all my checklists had to be there, right? She marked off every bit of our checklist. I was like, where's it at? She said, Grapevine. I was like, when can we go see it? And she said, we can go right after this. I can take you over there. It's empty. It's not a big deal. Whatever. I was like, okay. So we did that, right? Another guy that at this point was part of the King's Brotherhood. His name's Corey Huddleston. Phenomenal man. Real leader of God, for God and all the missions that he's ever been put on. And Corey and I had linked up really well because we were the only King's Brotherhood guys in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So we linked up and I sent him a message. I said, hey, I just got a house in Grapevine. I know you're somewhere in Grapevine. Here's the address. He said, no way. I was like, what? He's like, here's my address. Sent it back, looked up the directions. He's 2 minutes from my house. Bro, I looked up where the church was from the house, 12 minutes. I was driving 48 minutes one way to go to the other church.
I love it.
So, that's just how God works.
Yeah.
That's how it works. Yeah. And that's why it's so easy. You talked about, like, really? Jesus is that easy? Bro, so easy. Put your business, put your life, put your family, put your everything in those hands. And you're going to go through crap.
Of course.
Right? Shit happens. You're going to go through that. But it doesn't mean that you don't have somebody with you. God doesn't get you over things. He doesn't get you around things. He gets you through things because we are forged in fire. So we got to go through the fire to be forged so that we can be the pillar or we can be the sword that is going to help on the other side.
Boom. Brother.
So good, man.
I just want to thank you. Dude, I just want to thank you for being here, brother. It was honestly, that's why somebody was like, what? You guys are going to get a dog trainer to come here? I'm like, I don't think you understand the depth of this man. I also know more about your life, and this podcast was worth it.
Yeah.
It was
totally
beautiful. Thank you for sharing, brother. And really, guys, one, if you need a dog trainer, hit him up. I'll, do a shameless plug if you don't mind real quick.
Proven Canine Training. You can find DFW, Lubbock, and Amarillo. Just search Proven Canine Training in any of those areas, and you'll find us. But guys, thank you.
We'll put King's Brotherhood on there too. Make sure you tell him that you heard JJ on the podcast, so I can get his referral fee. No, I'm just kidding. I don't even know there's a referral fee. I don't think there's a thing. But no, dude, thank you so much for being here. I really do appreciate you, brother.
Thank you guys for having me. I kind of was the same way. I didn't know where this was going to end up going. I was like, service-based industry. We can link things up pretty easy that way or whatever. Never thought that it was going to go down this road. So.
And it was a beautiful route because Jesus is simple.
It goes exactly where it should be.
Got to say yes
Hashtag
to Jesus.
Jesus is simple.
Boom. We'll see y'all on the next one.